Some storms came through this week, and although destructive to some of the trees, it brought some of the water that they and the flowers need to survive. The red clover certainly looked healthy the next morning. The burdocks are blooming, as well as the boneset. And since we planted them, this is the best year we've ever had for our trumpet vine. Houseflies have a reputation for scavenging on carrion and garbage, but they also like the sweet nectar of flowers. The bergamot is going to seed, but what's left of the flowers is still being nectared upon by the hummingbird moths. Many butterfly species, the American lady being one of them, require a specific species of plant to lay their eggs on. This plant is known as the host plant. After the eggs have hatched, the larva will only eat the leaves of this host plant species. Once the larva grows large enough, it will pupate and metamorph into an adult. The adults are then much less picky about their food source. This adult American lady is nectaring on an echinacea flower, not a relative to its host plant, the pearly everlasting. The American lady is a member of the brush-footed butterfly family and of the genus Vanessa. There are many other brush-footed caterpillars in our region, but only two others of the same genus, the red admiral and the painted lady. Of these three, the American lady is the most cold-tolerant species. It is the only one who can overwinter up here, either as a pupa or as an adult. The American lady can be distinguished by the 4 blue dots outlined in black on the lower wing, and then the white dots on the tip of the forewing. Notice also on the outer wing the 2 large eye spots. Another member of the brush-footed butterfly family is the white admiral. The host plants for white admirals are hardwood trees, mostly willows, birches, and poplars. The caterpillars of this species spends the winter rolled up in a leaf lined in silk. They will then emerge the following summer as a full-grown butterfly. The adult butterfly will not only nectar on a variety of flowers, but will also drink the honeydew excreted from aphids, as well as drink the fluid from carrion. White admirals are known to be very territorial and will chase other butterflies and insects away. And there are also caterpillars around, such as what I believe is this tussock moth caterpillar. Many of these milkweed tussock moth caterpillars, and just one monarch butterfly caterpillar. And I did notice these unidentified eggs at the bottom of a milkweed leaf. At one point, while passing by some teasel plants, I noticed a silvery sheen. Upon closer examination, I noticed that they were little tiny eggs with insects that had hatched out. I have no clue what type of insects these are. And if one looks at one plant long enough, they're almost guaranteed to find a spider.
Tripod.
And we found one of my favorite spiders this week, the black and yellow Argiope, also known as the garden spider. It is a large, unmistakable spider, over 1 inch from head to the tip of the abdomen. Notice the abdomen has yellow spots on a black background, and the head with silvery hairs. The legs are orange and black and usually held in pairs. And the web is also unmistakable. Notice a zigzag pattern known as stabilimentum in the middle of this orb-shaped web. This spider is common in humid fields, bogs, and on the edges of lakes and ponds throughout much of North America. And we have many oxeye sunflowers throughout the sanctuary, but for some reason, this one particular flower, within 2 days, I noticed all these different insects on it. The beavers have been coming out earlier in the afternoon, which is helpful to keep tabs on them. We've had a sustained beaver colony here for over a decade. The original beaver was released here from a rehabilitation center and was spayed. But apparently, the operation is not foolproof because these are all her descendants. Now living here is a mother, father, and 2 generations of offspring. And this colony has sustained a great habitat for many other animals, such as the green heron. Green herons are known for their skills at fishing, but they are also adept at catching insects, such as dragonflies. The beaver dam sustains algae, which in turn sustains animals such as the goldfinches. And of course, the ponds are also home to mallards. It is not unusual for sharp-shinned hawks to come over to the beaver pond to hunt, but this one's here to play. Several times over, it attacks a group of crows. It must know that a crow is too large to be a prey item for it, but it must also know that it can outmaneuver a crow and therefore get good practice at avoiding mobs. The crows must know that this small hawk is no threat to them, but the young ones can get practice for more threatening species later, such as owls.
Partly serious, but they use it for practice, you know? Practice and maneuvers. There's no way he's lands it now. I lost it. Oh, there he is. He's up. He went for that crow again.
Back in the woods, a storm had knocked over one of the trees. I always check the crown to see if there's any nests or interesting insects, but no luck this time. down the trail a little ways, we noticed a fire cherry with sap seeping out. It smelled delectable, just like maraschino cherries. The creeks have finally been replenished by the storm, and already crayfish are moving back in and building their new homes. They're not quite this fast though. I have the film speeded up by 3 times. The rain also brought some wood frogs out of the woodwork, as well as a couple of new mushrooms, but not as many as I'd hoped for. We were excited when we found a hornet's nest this week. Hornets are in a subfamily of wasps known as the paper wasps. There are 22 species of true hornets, most of which live in the tropics. The papery material used to build the nest is made from wood pulp mixed with their saliva. The nest will be used until winter, in which time all the workers will die, but the queen will hibernate in leaf litter in the ground. The following year, she will give birth to a new colony that will then build a new nest. Many people consider them pests because their stings are more dangerous than bee stings. However, many farmers welcome them. Although the adults feed on nectar, they do kill crop pests in order to feed to their larvae. Over by one of the bird feeders, I almost stepped on this mouse. It appears to be the woodland jumping mouse. Unfortunately, it looked a little sickly, but at least it'll make a good meal for some other organism. This is the first coyote scat I've found in a while. That doesn't mean there's an absence of coyotes, it's just hard to find with all the weeds growing so tall. And there's been a lot of garter snakes out and about lately. We even witnessed one trying to eat a toad. I was astounded. I know snakes have a reputation for eating large prey, but this seems beyond its scope. And not only does the toad inflate itself with air to make itself harder to swallow for predators, but it is also toxic to most animals. This does not seem to be deterring the snake any, though. I am lamenting the storm that blew through, forcing me to seek shelter away from this fiasco. After the storm finally passed and I returned out here, there was no sign of either animal. So unfortunately, I do not know how this ended. However, it did entice me to do some research on YouTube, and there were dozens of videos with this scenario ending either way. Spring Farm Cares had the 25th anniversary open house this weekend. It was really great to see all the support from the community that we get.